Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, comparing the bear markets. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and check out Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, of course, we like to do this update every few weeks just to remind ourselves where we theoretically are within the bear market compared to the bear markets that came before this one. And the reason why we do this is to just try to have some type of perspective on the whole situation and not say miss the forest for the trees. Now, the first bear market that Bitcoin had is this blue line, and it more or less just went straight down fairly quickly to the tune of about 94%. But the 2014 and 2018 bear markets are in green or are in orange and red or so. And you can see that after about the same amount of time from the cycle peak for Bitcoin during those bear markets, we were also around the same ROI from the cycle peak. Okay. So a lot of people are saying, this time feels very different and the macro is bad. And yeah, look, the macro is bad and the macro is worse than I think it has been in prior bear markets, mainly because inflation is so high. So I'm hoping we can see that come back down. But at the end of the day, if you just look at the ROI as measured from the peak as a function of time, we're about where we always have been during this phase of the bear market, and that's about 70-75% down from the all-time high, right? Somewhere in that range, 70-75% down. But you can see that in both of the two prior bear markets, we still had eventually another leg down, right? So I'm not saying that things have to play out the exact same way. You guys know they don't. History does not have to repeat itself every single bear market. For instance, if you would use the first bear market to say that that's how the second one has to go, clearly that would not have been a great strategy. But I'm just trying to show you some perspective on the situation for the people that wonder what it would have been like to have been around crypto back in the 2018 bear market. You should have some understanding of what it would have been like, because at the same time, after the peak in that bear market, we were about down the same amount. And just so you can understand what it would have been like, imagine we had another leg down. Okay, now if you can imagine that, then you'd be very similar to what we experienced back in 2018. So a lot of the gains that people saw, in 2020 and 2021, a lot of the people that made the most were the people who stuck through 2018, stuck through 2019, and then they were able to experience those gains. Not the people that sort of just pieced out and then came back once they saw it on popular channels and whatnot. So if you look at the ROI right now from cycle peak, it's 0.283. So it is getting relatively low. Now, of course, always people want to know, what if you measure it from April? That's what it looks like. Obviously, as a function of time, you could argue that it's gone longer than the prior two bear markets if you measure it from April. However, you guys know me. I prefer to be conservative and say, well, why don't we just take it from the actual price peak of November? It also looks like it matches a lot better as well. So, it's always worthwhile to look at both of them. I'm not, the main reason I do it is just so we can kind of keep an idea of where that would be, what it would look like. But at the end of the day, it really does seem to match a lot better measuring it from November than measuring it from April in terms of the ROI from the cycle peak. Now, the interesting thing is if you look, say, 3 months out after the bottom, that's what it looks like. If you look towards the next peak, that's what it looks like. And you can see that whether you measure it from November, right, or April, it would still suggest, it would still seem to me that the suggestion of these prior market cycles is that we'd still have a long way to go. You come into the accumulation phase and then you go back into the bull market if it's measured from November. If you want to measure it from April, you could argue that we're a little bit further along. But the point is these prior bear markets and accumulation phases show that we should have plenty of time. Okay, theoretically speaking, it shows that we should have plenty of time. Remember, the next bull market for Bitcoin could still be quite a ways away. We know the next halving isn't until 2024, which is usually a popular narrative for the Bitcoin bull market. But also, we need access to cheap liquidity, and you're not simply going to get that when the Fed are raising interest rates and we're going into a period of quantitative tightening rather than quantitative easing. Now, make no mistake about it, the Fed will pivot one day, and I don't think they're going to start cutting rates this year. So, if you look at this sort of chart and you look at it, say, towards the next peak, and you measure it from November, you can kind of see where we potentially are compared to the prior bear markets, right? Like there could be, there could easily be another leg down eventually, and then into an accumulation phase, and then hopefully we gear up for another bull market. But I think patience is often rewarded. I mean, I told you guys at the beginning of this year, cash is king in 2022. That altcoins are incredibly risky, and really, hedging various ways I think is somewhat useful. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is now sitting at just below $19,000. I'd like to see the dominance of Bitcoin go up. That's probably the main thing that we haven't seen occur yet. I'm still hoping that happens, but I'm getting old waiting for it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Give the video a thumbs up. Hopefully this perspective on where Bitcoin is based on the prior bear markets is useful to some of you. Remember to check out Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.